How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to ReWrite. So, last time we pretty much just caught up with Kotori and kind of got a pretty solid understanding of her current situation. And something I didn't really highlight, I don't think. I don't know why. I think it just seems so evident. But she's teetering on the edge of just falling apart. I don't know if it's just overwhelmed, if she's genuinely being hunted, or if she's just simply getting a little cabin fever, and also just the juggling of Kotaru and wanting to protect him, and that stress and subsequent failure. Because that's the thing, is if you think about it, what have her goals been? Well, her goals have been to protect the city. Looks like it's being overrun by summoners who have probably not been have been fairly aggressive with her, considering how she knows they might try to break in here. Number two, she tried to continue to live out her life at school and with Kotaru, but that fell apart, especially when Kotaru nearly got caught in the crossfire inadvertently and nearly died. So she's like, all right, I'm going to separate myself from him. I'm going to I don't know if she meant to wipe his mind or if that was just kind of a side effect thing, but she separates herself from him and essentially tries to kind of keep them distant, but says, hey, she's just hey, just don't look into the occult stuff. We'll just be happy together, right? We'll just be friends and just keep being life will be as usual. You won't get involved. And then that didn't work because he kept pushing and he kept inadvertently looking for this stuff and also being hunted by the spirit, the moon spirit, the key. And so then she finally said, all right, fine. I'm going to prevent this from happening at all. I'm going to prevent her from interacting with you and you're interacting with her. So she then goes recluse, pulls out of school, builds up her defenses, and literally isolates herself with the key because her only goal, because of what the strongly communicated through her from the Druids of the past, is protect the key at all costs. And I also came up with the theory that the key being a kind of essentially a energy in a bundle in human form, but she's pure Gaia energy. I think the summoners want to use her as a battery for whatever projects they have going on, because normally only druids can access the Gaia energy, but summoners might be able to through the key, and it's why she might be called a key. You could unlock the power of the planet through her. So yeah, we'll have to see how that all plays out, but still, she hunkered down. She tried to keep herself distant. She tried to protect this place as best she could. And still, Kotaru somehow overcame all of that and wandered his way through and got in here. And, so she, was she happy to see Kotaru? I think yes. But was she more upset to see Kotaru? Absolutely. Because it's she keeps failing. And now all her bets are hedged on the fact that she can outmaneuver the summoners and can maintain this siege indefinitely. And I think that reality, we saw a peek behind the curtain of how she really feels, because as we were talking to her about it, she broke down and started crying. And it was kind of almost glossed over in the story, but I feel it's real important to highlight that she's already on her last legs and being pushed to her limit. And having Kotaru here is just adding more stress because she desperately wants to keep him safe. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's see what goes on. Whew. All right, let's go. So it wasn't a dream. Morning. I wake up under a gazebo-like structure that's grown from the ground. It's so warm here. I didn't even need a blanket to sleep. Oh, that sounds so nice. That's probably why I feel so refreshed. My wound is completely healed. It doesn't hurt at all anymore. All right, I've got full HP. My right arm is covered in bite marks. Huh? Something got me, probably while I was sleeping. Oh, it's probably the key. There's no one around. The barrier doesn't even let insects or small animals through, so it's kind of soothing, almost like being indoors. I can't help but find it strange all over again. At the same time, although I feel like I can accept it. Well, then, where might Kotori be? I find the key first. Look at her. She's so interesting. I'm really curious if we're going to be able to actually learn more about her, or if she's a mystery that gets unraveled in the true ending or something. She's standing in place like a tree. What are you doing? It's not like she's completely unresponsive. She's definitely acknowledging my presence a little bit. My role is to keep an eye on her from now on. I have to find a way to get along, even if we can't speak. You did this, didn't you? I raised my right arm. Well, it's all right, I guess. What should I call you, anyway? Given her origin, I doubt she has a name. Skipping rope ribbon, little key, tissue clothes. All that sounds pretty good. Ah! Blah! A ribbon flicks upward and slaps me. Why? I didn't attack you! What the heck is up with the ribbon? It felt like it was being slapped by a wrestler. Though it was some sort of automatic defense mechanism. Or do verbal attacks count too? I guess I figured out with my little one-sided dialogue here. Does this count as communication? I wish she'd communicate less violently. Well, how about I shorten them a little? Ribbon, key, and tissue. Talk, 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 talk. I receive a barrage of slaps, so thankfully weaker than the first. It's like she has a personality. That's kind of cool. That's still not good enough? What's wrong with ribbon? Sounds like a fitting for a girl. You don't like it? You sure? Okay, let's put it on the list at least. Nope. Essentially grabs my face. Oh, what the heck? It's not like a light touch. She's seriously digging her fingers in. An awkward movement like that of a child still inexperienced with controlling their body. I don't understand. I have no idea what you're trying to do. It's hard to communicate like this. I have no experience dealing with mute people in class or anywhere else. It's like the ultimate level of conversation doesn't flow vibe. Yeah, I can imagine. Man, maybe that's another thing. I've been recently having to reevaluate like what I spend my time on. I don't have much time, so mostly it's YouTube, but I've started writing again. And you know what? I always really wanted to learn, I always wanted to learn Japanese. I don't know if I've got that talent in me. Plus, realistically, I don't know if my chances of going to Japan are really ever going to be actualized at this point. If my health doesn't improve, it's just not going to happen. But I also wanted to learn ASL, American Sign Language. Maybe I can still do that, and I could find some kind of use, even providing, you can even get part-time, supportive jobs almost doing ASL over webcam for people, just translating during events and stuff. At least I could get fulfillment from that a little, feel like I'm actually helping people. Because it's got to be so painful to be on the cusp of understanding, but having that solid barrier that's just impossible to overcome truly, without that mutual level of understanding. But I suppose I shouldn't complain, given she's not even human at all. It seems a lot of people are after you. I wonder what they want from you. Are you concealing some great powers? I heard you're supposed to save us or something. Can you perform miracles?
Suki.
Oh, you could talk, or at least parrot my words. Good for you.
You.
I feel like it kind of reminds me, one of the streamers I'm a big fan of, I don't watch a whole lot of streamers. It's hard for me to catch live streams usually. I have to I catch content when I can, and YouTube's better for that because I can watch it when I'm at my leisure. But one of the streamers and VTubers I've actually really enjoyed following, genuinely, is Neurosama, which is an AI program that's been developed into a VTuber, and it's really fun to watch and listen to her. But especially in her early days, stuff like this was actually really common, where she would just grab a phrase and then just repeat it over and over and over and over and over again. So it's very fun. This kind of communication and idea, it kind of resonates with what actually is happening with AI right now.
You.
Yeah, that's right.
You.
It was a bit scary at times, but it seemed like we managed to communicate at least a little. The sunshine peeks through the gaps between the trees. She stares at it. It looks like she's lost interest in me. See you later, I guess. She doesn't even react when I address her. An aberration. Born from the bowels of the earth, it only looks human. In a way, it reminds me of a young sapling just beginning photosynthesis. Interesting. I would find that insanely interesting. I could sit there all day, and as frustrating as it might be, as much as running into a brick wall could feel, I would be so interested just to watch her and see, because knowing what she is now, I'd really be curious on how she chooses to interact with the world. Morning.
Ohayo?
You're working early, I see.
夕べはよく眠れた？
Yeah, you don't even need a sleeping bag in this warmth. It's surprisingly comfortable here, like we're in some southern country.
だしょ。
Aww.
餌を食べ。
I received a round white fruit. It's about the size of a tangerine. This is local, I see. It looks completely different from the fruit I found yesterday. This is good. The texture reminds me of something between bread and a rice cake. It's probably some sort of exotic fruit. The faint sweetness makes it very easy to eat. And on top of that, it has something reminiscent of blueberry jam in the center. Oh my gosh, she grew like a fruit version of a steamed bun. It tastes like a sweet bun.
魔物だよ。
I almost spit it out right there.
昔のドルイドも食べていたという伝統の味。
Oh, okay. Are they safe? How bad is it compared to genetically modified foods?
悪くないよ。安心してお食べな。
It's good, so I don't mind, I guess. How's beast making going?
まあ、順調。
What are you making now? Today's materials are a lot easier on the eye. Leaves, earth, and twigs. It's probably some plant-based familiar. No way, Sherlock. How'd you figure that one? It reminds me of an art made from pressed flowers. Oh, I haven't done that in a long time. I used to do that when I was a kid. I loved that. My favorite thing was finding real big, pretty leaves and putting them in a book and sticking them on a shelf where they just never get found for like years. And then someone pops open the book or you're cleaning or something, and boom, you've got this pressed and like petrified leaf. It's one of my favorites. I also liked to... you can do something really cool with flowers that for surprisingly few people actually end up doing. Although I imagine part of the reason why it works so well for me is because I grew up somewhere with a very dry climate. But if you really like flowers, like you find a flower very particular, like for instance, if it's like a sentimental one. For instance, in this example I'm going to give, I got a single-stemmed rose from my mom. The first time I performed on stage in the orchestra, because I played violin, and the first time we did an actual like performance for the public, and that she wanted to kind of try and commemorate it, and it's like she chose a rose because for one, it's actually a fairly traditional choice to give a rose to a performer regardless of gender, and secondly, it's also my favorite rose, my favorite flower. It always has been. There's a whole story to that too. Maybe I'll get into that sometime, but suffice to say, I've always loved roses, and so she got one for me, particularly for that night, just to kind of commemorate, that accomplishment. And I didn't want that to just kind of wilt away and become nothing. So what you do is you take it and you get it in a somewhat dry environment. So either if you live somewhere dry, you don't have to do nothing really. But if you're somewhere like humid, like I currently live, you probably have a room that's going to be naturally drier, especially if you use dehumidifiers like we do in our basement. So all you have to do is find that room, somewhere it's consistently dry, and you take the flower and you turn it upside down and you tie it to like a hanger and you hang it up somewhere where it's not going to get touched or interfered with. Because normally if you have a flower, even if it's sitting in a vase of water, eventually it just withers away and falls to pieces. But if you turn it upside down and hang it in a place where it's dry, it'll start to wither and dry out. But gravity helps kind of keep all the petals and the leaves kind of suspended in the direction they normally would grow, which is upward. But instead of withering out, they kind of wither in place because they get rigid faster than they wilt. And so then they become dried preserves. And what's amazing is if you preserve flowers like this, they maintain their scent. So you can this rose for years sat in my closet. And I remember when I moved and I was cleaning it out, I did eventually have to throw it out, which is fine. You cycle through stuff. But I remember picking it up and it had been like 6 years. And I turned it around, perfectly preserved, looked like almost like an art piece. And you could smell it and it still smelled almost like it was when I first was given it. So yeah, if you ever try that, so preserved leaves, really cool, really easy. And if you want to try it, I highly recommend just go get a flower. I know roses work well. I think other flowers work pretty good too. Go get a flower. With permission, by the way. Don't cut flowers out of people's yards without asking. But get a flower somehow and try that. Go find the driest room that's not likely to have any interference with people walking around in it or bumping into it. Tie it, hang it up with like a hanger or something, just let it rest for several weeks and see what you think. I'd love to know if you actually do that and what you think of it, because it's something I said I kind of like, I knew because my mom was a gardener, and so we knew a lot of stuff about plants, but surprisingly, it's like you forget when you're a kid, like the stuff you learn, it's not like everyone else learns those same things. And so surprisingly few people I know actually know that you can do that with flowers. Anyway, the way the plants are assembled look like some sort of bird or butterfly.
これは植物を使って作る魔物。
It looks small. It could fit in my palm. You sure this thing can fight?
ドルイドの教えにはあまり強い魔物はいないからね。これも戦うためのものじゃないし。
Yeah, these are for spying and like reconnaissance, which honestly, information gathering is probably the most important of aspect of any conflict. Sure, you need weapons and soldiers and all of that, but an underperforming, under-equipped, and rostered group can be far more successful with proper information. I mean, what was that? There's that ancient battle between France and like England where like the French had like the English army like 4 or 5 to 1. It was going to be a piece of cake. So the French just boldly started marching toward their positions. But the English tracked where they were going and set up all their longbowmen along the sides of this kind of like natural, like not, it's a valley, but it wasn't really a valley. It was just like raised hills where a stream went through. And because the main army was using it to kind of march into like the next like area. And they set up on the hills with the like pretty much just their archers. I mean, they set their forces out there to try and defend them, but they had like nothing. And they just rained arrows on them coordinately at the same time, like just unleashed when they got them kind of captured, and they just wiped them out. Like it wasn't even like, it wasn't even funny. Like it wasn't even like, oh, like they even the playing ground. No, it was a slaughter. And then once the arrows were spent and pretty much like every bowman had downed probably like 5 to 10 French soldiers each individually, then the English ran through and cleaned up. Like it was one of those things where like all the stats said that the French should have easily won and defeated the English, and the English absolutely destroyed them. And that's because they had better information and could coordinate. So yeah, you need your information. What's it for?
伝令とかに使うんだって。
I don't think that's very useful in our case.
うん。
Can't you make familiars specialized in scouting?
魔物の状態や体験はある程度は操る方にも伝わるんだけど、
Okay.
ごく近くにいる時じゃないと無理でね。魔物化する時に高精度の感覚器を再現するか、もともとあるものを利用するか。
Okay, so if you had like a hound dog, you could use that sense of smell and could communicate through that. What about something like a hawk? Well, I guess she was struggling with flying familiars, so maybe a hawk wouldn't be very likely.
でも例えば、猫の目って特殊で見え方が人間と違うの。同期できてもちゃんと見えるとは限らない。
Ah, so yeah, that could be a problem.
同期って個人差もあるしね。
Sheesh, so many qualifiers. I see. So they're not machines. There's a big difference depending on summoner's aptitude.
めちゃたくさん作ってれば、たまにものすごく相性のいい個体が生まれたりするけど。
Yeah, but that's just rolling dice at that point.
宝くじみたいなものだし、私の場合、チビがそれに当たるから。
It makes sense. I mean, I think you probably synced with that because it was such a personal connection in it of itself. Yeah, he definitely feels different from the others. He looks like he's even got a personality.
そう？あまり感情移入しない方がいいと思うけど。
Why?
誰かに壊されるかもしんないから。
My heart staggers from her cold words. I know that's probably a correct mindset, so I can't really argue, but you're pretty cold.
いい女ってドライなの。
Sure. Okay. Feel like doesn't quite compute, especially with your character. In fact, you've got a little bit warmer and chubbier, and your sexiness level would... She threatened me with a cry.
この魔物は体験をリアルタイム送信するのは苦手だけど、
Also, what universe is she
情報を体内
chubby?
に蓄積できるんだ。
No universe is she chubby.
蓄積された情報は契約者なら触れれば読み取れる。
Oh.
だから偵察にもなんとか使えるってわけ。
That's cool.
軍用のスパイロボットの方が100倍高精度だけどね。
Yeah, but they're coming from a state of creation. It's a little bit more like it originates from a source we really have a good grasp on. Druids are so naturally born and naturally entwined with the power of the earth. They have almost like a set built-in limitation of like just they can't be as advanced. Like maybe if you dedicate your whole life, you might be able to outshine your predecessors with modern like understandings, but even then it's gonna be rough. Dang.
あ、いけない。そろそろ行かないと。
Huh? You're not going to school or anything, right?
違うよ。パトロールに行くんだ。
Outside the forest.
でも、心配はいらないから。10年間、ここで学んでたんだよ。だから庭みたいなもので、迷ったりすることはないんだよ。
The forest is her home. I get that, but isn't it dangerous? Like, the government force is stationed outside the barrier, right?
制服。まあ、だから魔物がいるよ。
Oh, I see.
行ってきまーす、テスト。
She's so cute. I know it's like early to say, but frankly, I'm not sure if anyone's going to beat Kotori, in my opinion. She's just the best. Like, she's caring, she's lovely, she's cool. Like, look at all this cool power she got. Her head's in the right place, and she's just adorable. Like, just talking with her is a joy. Kotori suddenly collapses. Are you alive?
びっくら。
It doesn't seem like it's anything serious, so I pull her up. Kotori struggles for a bit, but then gives up and relaxes. Sit down.
あんがと。
That was scary. You fell face first on the ground.
膝から力が抜けちゃっただけ。
Are you sure you're not pushing yourself, like, way too hard? Not a chance. That's from exhaustion and sleep deprivation. It happened to my dad back home a few times. You didn't sleep last night, did you? Her accumulated exhaustion is showing on her face. You haven't been sleeping much, have you?
仮眠は取ってるけど、寝られなくて。気になって、工房のメンテナンスも全然進んでなかったから、やることいっぱい、巻きでやんないと。
Don't act so stubborn right off the bat. At least hear me out.
いい。
At times like this, you need to rely on someone.
いいって言ったのに。
I'm not gonna listen. I admit I'm an amateur and probably wouldn't get much help in real combat situations. But you should know that my physical capabilities are quite something right now.
それだけじゃ、わかってるよね。ゲームオーバーになったら、タイトル画面に戻るだけじゃ済まないんだよ。
I will, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
ゲームオーバーになったら、ディスク爆発する。
I don't think these jokes will work very well after a threat. I'm well aware, going out, even scouting is dangerous. I'm not underestimating this. But I want to be able to help, and above all, I need you to rest. This is going to continue for a while, isn't it? Yeah, like, you're only going to make... my argument would be like, look, if you were collapsing randomly, you're literally going to put yourself at danger, like, at the drop of a hat. And, like, you want to be prepared, but the thing is, like, right now, you could, like, danger could strike us when you're in one of your vulnerable moments. And, like, we can't have that. You have to get rest. I'll take Chibi Moth with me. We make a good team.
わかった。お願いする。
Good. Get some sleep. Kotori takes some time to give me all sorts of tips and pointers while lying down. I learned what to do in case of an emergency. And she actually fell asleep by the time we finished talking. I feel like I have to protect her. You better! Alright, let's go, partner.
Mush.
Mush, I love you! Chibi Moth is... Chibi Moth is my man. The bodies have disappeared. There's not even a single one left. The bloodstains still remain, though. They couldn't have disappeared by themselves. Someone retrieved them. After only a day, we're dealing with an organization that has enough resources to afford expending that kind of time and risk. Deep in the forest. It's easy to think nothing has happened when it's out of sight, but in reality, it isn't the case at all. Yeah, does she know about the bodies? We never talked about it. I feel like she should know. It feels like they know where we are. The situation has been slowly but surely changing in ways beyond our awareness. I find some damaged tree trunks. Not one or two, but a ton.
More.
My partner warns me to be careful. Yeah, I can tell something happened here too. I'm feeling the presence of violence. I push aside the tall grass and find countless footprints. Those are humans, not black hounds. Are humans fighting amongst each other too? I can't tell. I don't have enough information. But I've learned one thing. Places that humans have traversed are clearly different than the areas they haven't. Hey, cool. He's being able to tell the difference. I'm trying to learn how to read the forest. Let's try following this presence.
Mush.
I love you. The presence strengthens. Chibi-Moth pulls on my sleeve. I know! We slip into a nearby shadow.
ないのか。こっちは決意が我々だけでやるしか。
I hear fragments of conversation. It's coming from far away. Sounds of destruction reach me alongside the voices. Oh yeah, that's right, we have enhanced hearing. I was like, if we can hear him, we're in trouble, but like, no, we can hear really well. They're fighting. We've walked quite a bit to reach this place from the workshop, but it's still within walking distance. They're fighting this close? It's right in front of our noses. Is that a coincidence, or did they learn something? I have to find out. It's not like they're fighting Kotori's familiars over there, right? Sounds like they aren't. Then we definitely have to confirm what's going on over there. I decide to approach even closer. I proceed carefully. The sounds of fighting continue unabated. I don't hear any conversations anymore, nor are there cries either of human or beasts. Everyone is fighting in complete silence. The creepy atmosphere makes me even more cautious. Who is fighting against who? That's all I need to confirm. Being spotted is definitely a possibility, but I'm not too concerned about it. I'm acting under the premise I'll be able to retreat without attracting any attention. Chibi-Moth's steps seem to mirror my thoughts as well. He feels like a loyal dog that's always stuck by my side, soothing my nerves. And so, we finally make it to the clearing where the fighting is actually visible. What do we got here? My nose is itchy. I almost let out a scream. I doubt my own eyes for a moment. There's the green dragon. It's a terrifying beast. The green dragon I was helpless against. I see it drop and crash into the ground like a useless rag. Its destroyed stinger is lying on the ground in pieces. The vines it used as wings look like they're burned or something. It has a bunch of lethal-looking wounds on its torso, too. The green dragon looks like a dying jellyfish. Its absolute power has been trampled upon right in front of my eyes. My brain has processed the sight, but my heart has refused to accept it. The dragon weakly turns its head and falls completely still. After a while, 3 men in suits appear from the trees. None of them look familiar. One has a light cut on his arm, the other two don't seem hurt at all. They're probably the ones who defeated the dragon. No way. They're just people. They don't even have weapons. How on earth did they do that? The green dragon could easily kill 100 unarmed men. I can declare that with absolute confidence. It was a monster far beyond human capabilities. Heck, we're kind of a monster and we couldn't handle it. I have to assume the men belong to some secret organization. They must have undergone special training. Maybe they actually have special equipment I can't see. But still, even if they had machine guns and rocket launchers, it's just 3 people against a dragon. Are there good tactics enough for humans to beat such a monster? I mean, it sounds like they kind of knew what they were going up against. That could be enough, though where'd the fire come from is the thing. Like, clearly the fire was a big part of, like, inhibiting its ability to move quickly, and then destroying its, like, proboscis spear. Those are the 2 things you have to make sure to take care of. But so fire to take care of the vine seems like it was one of the most critical actions. But if they don't have, like, a flamethrower with them, how did they do that? Does this mean I'm just incompetent? Is it because they're professionals? I feel defeated. The green dragon was our enemy. Defeating it only serves to help us. But the way it was defeated is just too shocking. I didn't see exactly how it happened, but if I only could have seen the whole thing.
全体で見ると中くらい？中の下ランクかも。
Oh, fetch me. Which means that according to Kotori's rankings, I'm below even that. One of the men pulls out a phone from his jacket. I thought there was no signal in this place.
9時27分。特3級有害鳥獣駆除完了です。
Class 3.
お疲れ様です。おい、話しかけるなって。声が入る。録音っすか。すんません。お前、早く絵を撮れ。でかいけど軽量だからな。すぐ崩壊すっぞ。はい。わかるか、撮り方。俺はそういうの全然ダメだよ。たるいっすよね。俺も研修でいちいちうるせえこと言われて。 前、後ろ、斜め横からの3枚を。
So these guys research these beasts. So that implies they're not part of the summoners group because the summoners seem to have made it. So why would they need to understand it or document it? No, this is like an exterior group. But who are they and how do they have power? Like, are there more sources of magic than the ones we've seen? Because I guess that's a possibility. It's just I didn't think about that. I assumed that summoners and druids were kind of like the only thing, but maybe they're like mages and stuff too.
これ、リーフドラゴンってやつでしょ。いやー、すごいっすね、俺ら。天才系みたいな。
バカ野郎い。俺なんざ昔。
Fetch me, man.
なんか近くにいね。マスター
Crap. I can feel one of the businessmen focusing attention on me. I have to get out of here right away. They're gonna follow, though. That's what happened. Kotori was still sleeping when I got back. After all, it hasn't even been 3 hours since I left. Raising her up halfway, Kotori lets out a yawn.
眠子。
Let her sleep, man. She looks like she really needs more rest. Sorry, looked like an emergency, so I thought you needed to know.
あの魔物がいなくなったのか。そっか。なら、こっちの飛ぶやつ飛ばせる。
What about the professional guys?
あの人たちには、誰が使ってる魔物かまではわからないはず。契約を破棄すれば、魔物は粉っぽくなるから。
Okay. So, who are those guys, though? That's convenient.
今のうちだね。空飛び補充される前に、一回偵察フライトしなきゃだ。
The conversation seems to have woken her up. Kotori jumps to her feet. Then she brings over the thing that looks like a bird made from leaves. Is it finished?
契約は済んでる。
I bet you call it a leaf bird.
おいき。
Aww. Kotori tosses the bird made from leaves and twigs into the sky, and it promptly begins flapping its wings. I might be a bit late mentioning this, but it's quite a miraculous sight. The sight of an inanimate object turning into a living thing. Filled with borrowed life, the bird soars into the sky. Kotori, about my superpower. I'm thinking of strengthening myself a bit.
今日か？あの光の爪だけじゃないの？
To tell you the truth, I finally explained my rewriting abilities to her. Kotori listens to me with a serious expression. That's about it. I'd be useless in the way I am now. I need an edge to come out on top without training. I'm sure I can cover for it by raising my parameters.
小太郎くん、魔物を作るときはさ、
Yeah?
目的が決まってるんだ。労働用、伝令用、いろいろ。で、体の作りとか能力も目的を前提に設計するの。
Oh. Remember I talked about before, so Kotori saved our lives, but it also might mean part of the reason why we have these abilities might be what if we're part familiar? What if we have a portion of our body was replaced by a familiar, right? That could also explain why it could be enhancing us. Because think about like a sapling. We plant a tree that kind of fills in where our missing organs were, essentially, right? And it functions for us in a duplicate way, like taking something that's inorganic and creating life from it that looks like and functions similarly. But then what if that thing grew roots and spread throughout our body? And slowly, and when we push ourselves, we're actually replacing our physical body with more and more of this construct. That could be it. If the construct is spreading and gives us more enhanced abilities, but it's also reducing our humanity, and it could even be reducing our capability of retaining memories and feeling emotions. Part of why when Kotori left, we felt so detached from her, because we were forced to embrace more of our power, combined with the trauma of the incident and the damage that we took and had to get repaired. It kind of all culminated into this loss of our humanity. So maybe that's the price.
体の作りを設計する。例えば、馬の足を8本にしたら倍速で走れるってわけじゃ。
Right. Selfnir.
何それ？
It's an 8-legged horse that comes up from Norse mythology. Sorry, you can continue. Kotori gave me a cold look, so I cut off my expression short.
とにかく、漫然と能力だけ上げても、絶対頭打ちがあるの。サイズが小さいままで強くするのは難しいんだ。立って歩く人間って、動物としてはバランス悪いもの。足も遅くなるし、力もなくなるし、 噛む力も弱いよね。
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine winning a fight against a beast.
同じ体重の人間と犬、どっちが強いと思う？
Ooh. Alright, well, that's an interesting question. If it's like full brawn, and it's a human and dog that weigh the same, I'd give it to the dog. Like, dogs can rip you apart, but the human makes up for it in other ways. And so like the intelligence, creativity, and planning, I would argue is stronger. But if it's just like a cage match where you're locked in, you can't escape, you can't outthink, there's nothing but a fisticuffs, yeah, you're dead. A dog, I've already tested that.
そう。人間って形は強さの上限がすごく低いと思うの。だから、小太郎くんのやり方だといつか破綻がありそうな気がするんだ。
I'm well aware of that. But you're not an amateur, are you?
そうだけど。
If you helped me figure out how I should change myself.
やだよ。友達の体をいじるなんて。取り返しのつかないことになったらどうすんのさ。
That's true. Sometimes she breaks these. I carry that fear with me for years. But this is an emergency.
ねえ、右手ちょっと見して。
Sure.
本当だ。少しだけ腫れてる。並べないとわかんない程度だけど。
Wait, why?
前はこうじゃなかったよね。小太郎くんの手、女の人みたいに綺麗だったのに。
I think it changed when I rewrote it the last time.
魔物も能力を高くすると肥大化する傾向がある。倍強くしようとして体重が4倍になっちゃったりする。
Oh.
そこまでして作っても大きいのは動きが鈍くて扱いにくい。
So I might be trading speed for strength, which could be detrimental too.
じゃあ素早くしようとして筋力を大幅に上げるとさらに肥大化が起きて自分の体重を自分の足で支えられなくなる。
Sounds like a vicious circle.
怪獣みたいなサイズの魔物を作ったとしても自力では動けないだろうね。
Yeah. As much fun as it is to think about giant Godzilla-type creatures, like, there's a fine balance between gravity and size, and also atmospheric pressure. They're all relevant. I guess my idea of mass-producing giant monsters is dead then.
ちゃんと目的を決めて、それに沿った能力を与える方がいいの。稀にそういうのをクリアしちゃう伝説の魔物ってのもいたみたいだけど。
Okay, so they can happen.
そういうのは奇跡的なバランスの上に成立する例外中の例外。
I like that. Miracles or exceptions among exceptions. Dang. Kotori falls into deep thought for a moment.
小太郎くんの超能力って魔物作りと同じ力なんじゃないかな。
I'm pretty sure we're part familiar, which is why we're still alive. Huh? You mean I can make a familiar too?
そういうことじゃなくて、魔物使いは対象物を、小太郎くんは自分を。外か内かの違いだけで、根源は同種のものなのかも。
And also by remaking ourselves, we're actually using our life force. So that literally means that we're not going to live as long. I see. My right arm is kind of similar to the key's ribbons too. So I think that's very possible. A startled expression. And then a defeated expression.
小太郎くん。
Uh-oh.
一つ黙ってたことがあるんだ。
Here we go.
聞いてくれる？
Of course.
小太郎くんが怪我した時ね。
Here we go. Uh-oh.
どうしても傷口がくっつかなかったんで、リボンみたいなやつを一本もらって、接着剤代わりに患部に埋めたの。
Right. Okay. So I used a tree or a sapling as an example. No, she used a piece of Gaia's avatar. Fetch.
鍵に力をおねだりする方法がドルイドにはあるの。本来は強い魔物作ったりするときに使うものなんだけど。
Kotori's fingertips trace all the way from my heart to my right shoulder. That looks like it'd be a pretty lethal wound.
リボンって命の塊みたいなもの。だからそういう強引な生命維持ができるの。
Oh no.
つまり鍵は小太郎くんの命の恩人。いや、恩鍵？
Wait, so does that also mean that if something happens to the key, we could just drop dead? Like, if the summoners get her and use her up or whatever in their plan, we just die. Fetch. What the what?
言葉が混乱してる。
I see. So that's why they're the same color. Wait! I finally realized something. Could that be why she's been after me all this time?
ごめんなさい。
Kotori bows her head.
あのリボンって衣装とかじゃなくて、鍵の肉体の一部なの。多分、そういうのを感じ取ってるんだと思う。
Yeah, it'd be like missing, like imagine if you had these 3 fingers removed, right? With just these 2, you could still do stuff, but you'd miss it, especially if it took out if you took out a part of your palm as well. So you'd have an inhibited digit essentially, right? And then you suddenly found the rest of it, and you had the ability to reattach it. You'd want to be able to get your full functioning hand back if you could, but then it's also technically being used by something else, but in this case like a dog, like something lesser than you. And so part of you can see okay, well if I take it back, it's gonna mess up that dog. So I don't want to do that. I like the dog, but it's also mine and I want it back. And so maybe that's what the key's kind of going for. She can be around us, and she's like, okay, you're interesting, we're similar, I know a part of me's with you, so I can feel that kinship in a way. But also at the same time, it's mine! Which is why she chews on our arm and stuff.
光の爪って、もろにあれだよね。多分、血管を経由して、右腕全体に根を張ってるのかな。左手で同じことができないんなら、多分、そうだと思う。あと、上書きできる超能力ってのも、その影響かもね。
Yeah, I believe it.
ごめんなさい。
Wait, I'm pretty sure I was told the doctors treated me.
まず、私が処置。で、お医者さんに連れて行って、この手の神通力って、見えない人には見えないから。
So, even the doctors at the time wouldn't have recognized the strange ribbon material. It would just look like my own flesh.
鍵も人には見えない。チビモスの見えなさって、その技術を利用してるし、意識が戻らず、原因もわからず。しばらく安静にしてたら、ひょこっと意識を取り戻したけど、前後の記憶、なくなってたってわけ。フィン。拍手、パチパチパチ。
パチパチパチ。It's the scoop of the century.
はい、そう。
What the heck do you mean clap, clap, clap?
はい。申し訳ございま
It's
せん
how
で
she
した。
processes, man. Let her have fun. Is that what happened to me? I don't have a clue. Why don't my parents say anything?
記憶喪失だけに、デリケートに対応したんじゃないかな。
I raise my fist, but I have nowhere to direct it. I have no reason to be angry at Kotori. Well, I see. All I can do is thank you, I guess. It was quite a startling revelation, though. I'm still processing it.
ごめん。どんな形でも。
Anything? What about your body, then? Shut up! I hug her. You're not fighting back. Normally she'd punch me right about now.
お詫びしないと。
Aww, now I feel bad.
小太郎くんの気の済むようにしていいよ。
Don't say that.
そんなひどいことじゃなければ。嫌がらないから。服脱げとか、そういうのじゃなければ。
Oh my gosh. Really? Just snuggle then. That's quite a suggestion. The greatest chance I've received in my entire life thus far. Does that mean I could touch her as much as I want? Calm yourself, young man! My heart rumbles. I'm so happy I'm getting dizzy. I'm suddenly conscious of the humid sweetness emanating from Kotori's body. Did you wipe yourself down yesterday?
徹夜だったから、してない。
I see. Guess that explains it. Your scent is sweeter than usual. Tennouji! Come on, don't worry about it. My dad kind of smells when he gets out of bed too.
黙らっしゃい。お詫びなし。
I missed the chance of the century. Kotori storms off and I fall to my knees in despair. Yeah, you done goofed that one. Oh, it keeps chewing on my hand. I won't let go. Kotori's mood's back to normal by the afternoon. Son of a gun. I can't believe it. You had your chance. You could have just snuggled with her, right? Like, you could have just... And how much she might have actually enjoyed that? How much she might need to just have a moment to just kind of be with somebody who cares about her, right? Regardless of, like, whether or not she pursues things further. Like, sometimes when you're in a bad situation, I don't care how, like, hands-off you tend to be. I had a very close friend, and she was very much, like, touchy-feely was something she was very, like, apprehensive about in general. Just drew the line. I can make ideas and guesses as to why, but they don't matter because it's kind of Kotori. Like, sometimes you just need that. I don't care what culture you're from. Sometimes you just need it. How much better would it have been if he just shut up and just held her and just like could just enjoy each other's company for a little bit and just relax, even if there's nothing more than that. Kotori, you suck. Such an idiot. All right. She probably took a bath since she smells really nice now. Though that's kind of a waste too. Oh, I see. Well, we got a gauge on him. I like the natural girl smell. I'm digging in. I take a bite of the white fruit. We don't have any other food. I know it's an emergency, but not having any sort of variation is kind of depressing. It's good, but it gets old if you eat it all the time.
栄養補給だと思って無心に食べるのがコツだよ。
I mean, if it's meeting all of our nutritional needs, like, I'd be so down for that. Like, yeah, repetition gets kind of sucky, but at the same time, like, I had to drastically change my diet. Like, if I don't know if all of you know, but, like, I was much bigger even just a few years ago. I've been able to lose a lot of weight. I'm very excited and happy about that. But a big part of it was that I've sacrificed pretty much most of the food that I eat. Like, my food intake is very limited, so I eat a lot of the same things most of the days. And so, like, this is my reality. It's like, I focus on the nutrition almost exclusively to the point of extreme, like beyond what most people have to do to diet to keep themselves like in shape. Like, I have to go to these great lengths or else I'll get right back where I was. So I end up eating the same kind of foods again. Like, most of my dinners are either like an omelet, a tofu veggie mix, or salad with cheese in it. Like, that's pretty much my whole life when it comes to like meals. I can change it up a little bit here and there, but I also like the rest of my meals tend to be things like a protein shake, like almost not even really food, just focused on pure essentials and like multivitamins and everything. That sounds like some kind of monk training. The leaf bird returns in the afternoon. What did you find out?
待っててね。
Get a little familiar, folds up its wings as Kotori's palm and stops moving. Well?
近くでは大きな異変や強い魔物の気配はないみたい。
Well, that's good. Guess they didn't figure out our location after all.
今のところは一息タイム。
Relief finally spreads across Kotori's tense expression. What are you gonna do? Go back to sleep?
いろいろやんなくちゃ。
Hey.
お仕事だし。
Are you feeling alright? Okay, I'll keep an eye on Key then.
あ、そうだ。パワーアップしたいって話。中途半端に強化するくらいなら、組手してみたらどう？
Oh, with who? Sparring as in martial arts.
武術というか、戦い。
Oh, so you're actually gonna come after me? I'd love to have someone to spar with, but I don't notice any old martial artists in the area.
差し当たっては、これ。
Chibi moth? Oh, whoa! Wooden man. The forbidden Mokujin's Kenpo style. To be honest, I don't really know what I should do. Is it okay to slice it up?
いいよ。それもう廃棄する前のやつだから。動きも鈍いし、いい的になるんじゃないかな。
So, we gotta keep in mind, like, to get a gauge of the strength of her soldiers, he's too slow to be useful in the combat, so he's better as a punching dummy.
怪我したら治してあげる。
Yeah, that's the true thing. She's like, and we don't have to hold back because I can treat any injuries really well. So as long as you don't die, I can break all your limbs. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Kotori trots away and gets to work. And she left us just like that. I end up all alone with the wooden man. It's about 80 centimeters in height. That's pretty small. Without any weapons, it looks like it looked like a pushover. This probably looks pretty stupid to anyone watching. Well, whatever. Anyway, let's see what happens if I try to fight it. The wooden man stopped moving. I won. A clean victory. The wooden man lies in pieces at my feet. I don't understand. It was just too slow. Felt like fighting a grandpa. I circled around and attacked it from behind. Its body was pretty hard, so I couldn't destroy it with my bare hands. In the end, I destroyed it by thwacking him with my blade. I couldn't cut him that well. It's neither struck my vitals nor charged at me. Felt more like a chopping wood than actually fighting. Is this really gonna help me at all?
終わった
I don't think I earned that many experience points, though. I feel like I just chopped wood.
そうこれ結構頑丈で力持ちなんだけど。
Chibi-Moth's way stronger.
じゃあ、チビと喧嘩してみる
Now a real fight. Oh! Ah! I'm flying as Chibi-Moth slams into me. He's so strong!
刃物とかそういうのじゃきついかもね。魔物って大抵タフだから抑止力になるって言ったら爆発物とかそういうのでないと。
Seriously, okay, so most beasts are that strong. That means general humanity has no way to actually fight these summoners properly until, like, recent times. Like, can you imagine medieval warriors against, like, just one of those dogs that they need to be, like, literally exploded to die? My attack power's too low.
テクニックでカバーだね。しばらく遊んでたらいいよ。慣れって大事だから。
Have fun, don't die! I'll do that. I train with Chibi-Moth. Though it felt more like a punching bag. Chibi-Moth totally thrashed me. His charges were fast like bullets. I couldn't do anything to counter that speed. Technically, all his attacks came in straight lines. They should have been easy to dodge by jumping to the side. Then I should have been able to circle around and counterattack him from behind. But that was easier said than done. There was one time I almost got run over by a truck. In my head, I thought I could dodge out of the way of something like that with ease. But in reality, my body froze when I saw an enormous metal monster approaching. Wasn't hurt, since the driver managed to stop in time, but stupor lasted a while. Normally, you can't act in an emergency if you aren't used to it. It's true, it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever had a chance, like, it's weird, like, you don't ever want to, but have you ever been pushed into a situation like that? Have you ever had to see what happens when your instincts have to kick in? Because there's 3 reactions. There's fight, flight, and freeze. They're all survival-based, but they're also unique. Like, majority of people freeze. Like, it's a very common reaction. It's not a bad thing per se. It's a survival tactic inherited from our ancestors. And it can work, and it can help in the right situation, but it can also be a detriment, unfortunately. And then flees, like being the person who like just jumps and like dashes away immediately, like just goes full on sprint mode, like right in the second, or like the fight, the one who like goes and punches. I think I'm more of the flee type because I've had those instances where I've reacted, like I've had a crisis set in, an emergency set in, and I act. I don't freeze. I've always acted. I've always acted like without thinking. So I've always felt blessed in that regard. The time specifically, I remember I was driving down a hill in a recent snowfall. I was driving in my little Astro van, which was my first vehicle. It's this piece of junk. But I came down this hill to could emerge onto like not a highway but a main road. But as I came to come to a stop, like my anti-lock brakes just did nothing. It was like sheet ice, like black ice covered in snow. It's like the worst combination. So I slid right into live traffic and spun too. And so it was like a 4-lane road. And so I luckily made it through the first 2 lanes and didn't hit anything. And I slowly spun to a stop, but facing the wrong way in the opposing lane with traffic actively coming toward me, and the conditions are still really slick. So they start to slam on their brakes, but they're sliding too. And instantly, I don't know what, I just flew, I put the van to reverse and backed right out. Like I was able to back up right into like the center lane, the suicide lane, like instantly before anything really crazy happened. Now, was it like the most smooth thing? No, of course not. I spun into active traffic. It doesn't get much worse than that when it comes to driving skill. But it was nice to know that my instincts were to get out of danger's way, like before even processing, because like afterwards I sat there in the middle road for a while and just like my hands started shaking and I was just, like my heart was pounding, realizing I was so close to just smashing into traffic and to like getting hit by a car. But I was very grateful that I was able to act before I panicked. You know, like the panic set in after I was safe, and that's nice to know. That's just how it works. And Chibi Moth is just like that truck. If I try to dodge too early, he has enough time to correct his course. And homing charge, it's absolutely cheating. The only way to avoid it is to jump at the very last second. But even that, I understood that in my head, it was hard to pull off in a real-life situation. I messed up countless times, getting thrown all over the place. After around the 12th battle, I finally started to get the hang of it. And by the 20th, I'd used it to the extent that I could dodge 2 out of 3 charges. But that was my limit. It's impossible to raise my dodge ratio to 100%. It's always getting hit sooner or later, it's unavoidable. Fighting a battle is a risky act and always requires some luck to survive. And on top of that, attacking has a whole different set of challenges as well. I managed to hit him a few times, but I mostly ended up missing, no matter how sure my strike was. It's hard to judge these distances of something that's constantly moving. And no one ever stays still in a battle situation either. It's kind of similar to how catching a rugby ball is difficult. I can't help but smile at my own incompetence after realizing I had delivered a single decisive attack in 30 battles. I suck. Well, you're inexperienced, and you're limited, and it's good that you know that, and now you have something to move on. Or rather, Chibi Moth is fast and strong. You're amazing. Yeah, you are. I understand that parrying and advanced blade techniques are impossible for an amateur. As such, I decided to unseal my wrestling techniques instead. I let my blade dissipate for now and slice my wrist. Come at me! I'm beginning another round without forming my weapon. Chibi Moth charges at me and I wait. First, I've got to dodge. I jump out of Chibi Moth's trajectory at the last moment like some kind of matador. Cold sweat soaking my back, but it worked. And now, I visualize how the key's ribbons dance in the air. My mid-range fighting style looks kind of like that too. I let out a string of pure energy splatter out of my wrist. I've noticed when forming my blade that I can control it to an extent even before shaping it. Though only for a few seconds at best. But you hardly ever need more than that in close quarters combat. As though it had a will of its own, the string of energy bends and wraps around Chibi's hind feet. It quickly solidifies and shatters, but almost succeeds in unsettling Chibi Moth's balance in the process. I kick him in the side. Hey, look at that! The round shape of his body turns out to be his undoing, sending Chibi Moth rolling through the grass. Yeah, I did it! I make a victory pose. Suddenly I hear an applause from behind me.
やったね
Aww. Oh, Kotori, you just witnessed the birth of my first special technique.
見てたけど、なかなか面白い使い方だね。
It'd be better if I could form a blade and swing it instantly, but it takes time to mold into a shape. I wish I could come up with something a bit stronger, though.
鍵の一部だから弱いってことはないんだろうけど。
Yeah, I don't know if it's limited by our imagination or what.
生命維持の方がメインだしね。
Yeah, so but maybe like 90% of its power is just keeping me alive. That's alright. I'll just use whatever I have.
使わないに越したことはないんだけど。
Well, have to see.
小太郎くんが戦うようなことにはさせないから。
Okay.
ところで、小太郎くんが持ってきたカメラってまだ使える？
Yeah, I have a spare battery, so it should work. I end up packing it out of habit from my ORS days.
ちょっと貸してもらっていい？
It was yours to begin with, so of course you could have it. What for, though?
魔物に背負わせて偵察に使えるかなって。
Oh, we could make a drone. Again.
できる限りずっと偵察は続けたいの。
I see. It's in my bag, so you can just take it.
あんがと、まだ続ける。
Yeah, just for a little bit more.
怪我しないように。
The sight of Kotori's straight back as she strides away with confident steps makes her look much more mature than I remember. Her hard work and determination have given her a different air. Kotori dutifully fulfilled her contract for over 10 years in this place. I still don't know the exact details of her duties, but it's still incredible nonetheless. And her powers even saved my life. I've got to pay her back. Alright. I think we're going to end here for now. A lot of good stuff happened there, a lot of growth, and I'm glad Kotaru's kind of taking it seriously. He's been very humbled. I'm very humbled. Fetch, who were those guys? I want to know more about them. That's the thing that's really got me intrigued. So like, there's obviously some kind of fighting between two different groups, and these are like monster hunters or whatever. But how? How did they fight them? That's what I need to know. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to see how this all is going to spin and make a difference, and just like the story is getting so interesting. So yeah, we'll have to just enjoy that later. But for now, let's go ahead and take this break. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly enjoyed recording it. It's always fun. But it means the world to me that you're here, spending time with me, and just kind of enjoying the journey with me. So keep it up. I hope I can continue making good content that you can enjoy and share with me, and just kind of, something that keeps you coming back for more. Thank you especially to the patrons and members. You guys are amazing. Thank you for giving me the resources I need to be able to get better art and just continue to make content like I do. I hope I can make better content. I want to make things that are keeping you coming back and not just stagnating. I want us to always be able to share these great stories together, because frankly, not enough people, I think, on YouTube are making content that are so focused on the stories. Like, often it's focused on the person making the content, which is great. And I hope that I can at least bring something to the table as me that is like worth coming back for. But I also feel like in the deluge of people trying to make funny, engaging, and clickbaity content, we often see people leaving story behind and not focusing on the characters and like the world building. And so that's what I strive for. It's what I want to make my content. Like, well, I want to make it different. I'm going to try my hand at making some new content in the coming months that'll be a little focused less on story, but I'm not sure how that's going to end up playing out. Mostly because it's going to involve me and a few friends making content together. And these are going to be special cases, but it's kind of me just trying the waters and seeing how things play out. So I'd love to hear your feedback when that time comes. But like I said, probably not coming out for a couple months. Anyway, thank you all so much. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. I look forward to playing this again next week. Until next video, watch me. If you see me next, I'll see you there.